Nienami Namanie might be the most confusing character in the entire Medaka Box story, and honestly I kinda love that about her. And so even though I'm here making a video about her, I can't really say that I fully understand her character, as well it's really hard to work out what Nienami was trying to accomplish with her character. So if you come to a different interpretation of her character than me, then I completely understand that she is not an easy character to analyse in the bloody slightest. And also just want to say to the long-time supporter of the channel, Killy Monster, that I'm sorry this video took so long to come out after me promising to make it for like over a year now, so I hope you can forgive me and really hope that this video lives up to this year-long expectation. If you find yourself entertained at any point during the video, then consider liking, subscribing and ringing that bell, as I cannot explain to you how much such a small action can do for this channel. And if you want to go the extra mile to support this channel, then you can always check out my Patreon. Anyway, on with the video. Nienami is a character with no direction. As she says herself, she is someone without ideals, dreams, hopes, philosophies or things to protect. She lives on one way or another. She is a self-described half-crooked, half-hearted girl. She helps out the main cast for no other reason that she wanted to and could have left at any time. She will hurt her own body at any moment and wields a power that makes the impossible possible. She's so aloof, she has no attachments to the world, nor any identity of her own. Everything about her is subject to change, everything about her may change and will change. On the narrative level, Nienami is rather obviously a vessel to criticise one of the main ideals explored in the story, roles, as shown most directly with Najimi, but also Medaka, Kumagawa, Surabami and many other characters in the story. Characters in the world of Medaka Box often conform to a role, either to make themselves feel better about themselves or to convince themselves of something. Nienami though is a direct counter to this way of thinking. How can she fit a role if she changes how she acts on a whim? She acts as an antagonist, then as a travelling companion, and then as part of the main squad. I mean, the reason Surabami is the one to often call her out on all this is because he himself is someone who is consciously trying to play a role but failing to do so. When Nienami makes a joke during a tense situation and breaks the flow of the story, this is all because she inherently interferes with the concept of storytelling, of a narrative and of characters and roles. Even her style, the contradictory conjunction style, lines up with this. As she is in some aspects a paradox user, her style is an inverse connection style that specialises in the use of the word therefore. It makes the impossible possible by paradoxically materialising the lowest possible outcome of a situation. She can win against a strong opponent or cut a huge resilient object. This of course lines up with her character as well. She is a minor character but helps save the day. Her character is a paradox that makes no sense. She seems to always do the opposite of what you'd expect. She had the strongest style and so loses in the first round. That in itself could be considered materialising the lowest possible outcome of a situation. As much like her style, Nienami doesn't conform to the narrative or to common sense. That isn't her role to play, as she has no role. Now, although her aloof character acts to criticise the nature of roles in the story, the same role can be attributed to countless other characters and events in the story, and maybe that in itself is once again a counter to storytelling, but the way you can also interpret this is that her being a random background character in itself is the important part. She objects to the normal storytelling structure by barging in as a minor antagonist for an arc that's already ended, and becomes a main character. And although that of course is most likely also part of it, I think her being this random minor antagonist also lines up with one of the largest themes in the story, connection. As what I believe is the key thematic significance of Nienami is the simple idea that she, a minor character, is instrumental in Ahiko's defeat. Let me elaborate. Nienami's role in the story is, let's all agree, really weird. Like if any of the characters introduced in the Black Jet Wedding arc were to go on to become a main character, you'd probably expect it to be Momozono, the final boss, yet for some reason the one who sticks around is the first enemy to go down. I mean, the characters call out how weird it is that Nienami is even around still, many times, and that's kind of the point. As she is just there, she doesn't have any real significance or any relation to the ongoing events beyond the Jet Black Wedding. However, despite that, despite having no stakes in the story, she is instrumental in defeating Ahiko and saving Medaka. If she didn't temporarily give Zenkichi a style, then he wouldn't have beaten Ahiko and they all would have died. But even so, it didn't have to be her. There was another language user present and there were plenty more that could have come and helped. But even so, it was Nienami who did, the person who has no stakes in the arc, who is just kind of there for no reason but to make jokes. As well, what's the overall theme of Medaka Box is that connection with people is power. The reason Medaka attended high school was to meet other people and form connections with them, to find out that 1 + 1 = 2. When Zenkichi was about to die, it was the memories of his connections and the people around him that kept him fighting. And the reason Medaka came to overcome her own feelings of self-hate was due to the people around her and the feelings they conveyed to her. In Medaka Box it doesn't matter if you're an abnormal, a minus, a special or a normal, you are still human and your connection to others is important, and this is why Nienami's presence is so thematically important, because she herself isn't thematically important. In other words, even the actions of someone unrelated to the conflict, even the actions of a minor character, can have a massive effect, as that's the power of human connection. Nienami, the minor character, saved the day, and the reason she was able to was due to the connection she formed with Medaka, Zenkichi and the other characters, a connection she made on a whim. Sure, it's a small connection, but it's a connection nonetheless, and even the smallest of connections is powerful enough to defeat an unbeatable hero. And so that is what I believe to be the overall significance of Nienami's character. She is someone who shows clear as day how at the end of the day, any foe can be defeated not by the power of friendship, but by the power of even a mild interaction. As that's really what Medaka Box is all about. The Medaka Box itself was a way for Medaka to get to know the people of her school, to connect with them, and by doing so she was able to grow and embrace her true self. And as shown in her fight with Kumigawa, even her enemies rush to her side. Her connections aren't just with the allies she makes, but also with the enemies she makes. And well, what was the enemy originally? An enemy. But even so, she came to Medaka's aid despite being her foe and ended up helping to save the day. Medaka came to discover herself through this connection with both allies and enemies, and just like everyone else in the story, Nienami was crucially important in letting this come to be. Comment of the week comes from Hackmanite Ultra, and I'm so glad my videos help to make your days better, and I'll strive to keep making your days better. If you're interested in my literary endeavours, then why not check out my books Gang, Fluid Justice and People of Fate Volume 1, available at Amazon.com. And if you want to go the extra mile in supporting this channel, then consider pledging to my Patreon, where for as little as £2.75 a month, you can get your name at the end of the video, like Hikari Desu, 7SO, Smokey McBobby and Rinjack9696. So with all that said and done, I've been Seth the Sin, the Deadly Sin of Geek, and I'm signing out. Stay safe, everyone.